I was born in San Diego and grew up on the Jersey Shore. I always loved being near the water, and when I found out I was moving with my family to Ohio back in '91, I thought I was going to be missing out on that. But I'd always heard rumors, like an urban legend, that there were waves on the Great Lakes. And during a storm, I drove up to the lake for the first time, and I saw not only were there waves, but there were surfers up here. And ironically, I thought to myself, I always wanted to learn to surf, and it took moving 500 miles from the ocean to achieve that. Learning to surf has been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life, and that happened here in Cleveland, Ohio.
But before you rush right out and buy a board, you should know surfing in Cleveland is a seasonal sport, a winter seasonal sport.
Much like a lot of the other parts of the world, the winter time's the best. Anywhere you go, if you go to the West Coast, East Coast, Australia, whenever their winter season is, whenever their fall and winter season is, the waves are always better. And it's true here as well. We actually look forward to the cold weather because it brings all the good waves.
You do have to be sort of clinically insane to pursue surfing here in the winter, but it's a passion. And once you start surfing, you can't just put it down. It really is an addiction. And it doesn't matter if it's as cold as Alaska out here. You'll see people in the water, and it really is a life of dedication. It really is.
I've hooked up with a good crew of people, and that always makes it a little warmer. It helps you get out there when it's really cold and really small. But the biggest reason why I surf here is because I would surf anywhere. If I was in Alaska, I'd be a surfer in Alaska.
Besides the water being hideously cold, it's hideously gross to boot. The water in Cleveland's not the cleanest by any means. Not to say that the water is to the point that you don't want to be in it, but you'll see some things from time to time that make you think about getting out of the water. I think one time somebody found a thumb in the water, which is which is a bit much. It turned out it was from a fisherman, not from a dead body, thank God. And then there's other odds and ends that you'll find out there. A lot of the time when the surf's up, it'll kick up things from the bottom. Lake Erie's such a shallow lake that anything that's on the bottom won't settle, and it finds its way back up. Here in Cleveland, lake surfing in general, which is what we call wind swell, because all the waves are generated by the wind, the storm that is creating that wind is right on top of the waves. So the wave period's very short. It's like 2-3 seconds. If you get a 7-second day, you're lucky. And so you have to be really on top of your game. So you kind of have to grin and bear it and do what you can with it. But it's nice to be on your toes when you're surfing. And so it's really nice to be in an area where you have to really work for it.
But it's not all surfing through ice floes and random body parts.
Some of the best days surfing in Ohio, you're discussing a wave that's about 5 foot, on an amazing day 6 foot. And if you're getting a wave that size, usually there's a lot of commotion, a lot of wind involved. But every now and then we'll get a really clean day where the winds are just right and the waves are beautiful and big, and you forget that you're on the lake. You feel like you're on the ocean, and that's really wonderful.
The waves are better on the ocean, but that doesn't mean to degrade the waves here. I mean, the surfers here from Florida or anywhere else will tell you there are days out here on the lake that can rival a decent day on the ocean. You just have to be patient. And I think that's one of the harder things about being a surfer here is you have to be patient, and there's a lot of downtime. 99% of the time, the lake it's a flat body of water. But if you're patient and you can keep your sanity, you'll find days that are pretty darn good out here.
Surfing on Lake Erie in general is a little trickier. The surf would be up in the morning, and then it's gone in the afternoon. It's really fast. So you kind of have to be on your toes. You have to be really organized.
I've lived here since 1991, and I've got to tell you, I still don't understand what exactly makes waves on the lake. I mean, there are rules of thumb that you sort of live by, but those are just guidelines. You never know what's going to be up here until you come up here and see with your own eyes.
But the differences between these hard-scrabble Lake Erie surfers and your more typical beach boys don't stop there.
Surfers in Cleveland, and I would say generally in the Midwest, they're a lot different than a lot of the other surfers that you're going to find on the coast. One big main reason is territory, and it seems like a lot of times they're real territorial, and you really got to work for a wave. It's really hard to get to meet people in the water and things like that. And here, I think it's just the Midwest attitude that really pulls through, and everybody's really friendly. Everybody wants you to get a wave. They'll give you waves, and it's night and day. It's wonderful.
I think the surfers up here are a great reflection of the city because they're so diverse. I mean, we have all people from all different walks of life up here, and Cleveland's the same way. Cleveland is a melting pot. And we have surfers here who are originally from here, from Ohio, but a lot of the surfers here are actually from Hawaii or Florida, and everyone here gets along pretty well. You know, everybody brings something interesting here to the culture, and the city is a great backdrop for all of this.
Their relative rarity is partly what binds the Cleveland surf culture together, but only part. Mostly, it's love of surfing itself and the determination to find a way to surf no matter what.
I love surfing because it's meditative. It's like therapy. Every time I go out, I'm able to relax, clear my head. You're really at one with nature in that sense. You're doing something that's just raw. So you kind of get this calm that comes over you, and then you feel a connection. And all of my friends say my mood is 10 times better when I have a session. And sometimes they pray for waves, so I'm in a good mood. But that's what it really does. It puts me right, and it makes me stoked to get through everything I have to get through.
But if surfing is so important to all these guys, why do they stay in Cleveland?
Staying in Cleveland to surf, for most people, sounds really crazy. However, the town's wonderful. The attitude here, the people here, it works for what I do. Being an artist in this town, it works. And so having the opportunity to do smaller surfing, rough surfing, and tough surfing, it helps keep me here, actually. I would rather be in a town that I love and be able to surf small crud waves than be on a coast where the stoke's really high, but I can't afford to do anything that I love to do on top of it. So it's really the best of both worlds.
A lot of people say surfing here and the community here is like how California was in the 40s and 50s. Everyone still knows each other for the most part, and everyone's very friendly. And talking with my friends who are from all over the world, they remind me that being a surfer in Cleveland is still a very good thing because it's underground. It hasn't been overpopulated yet. It hasn't been ruined because in a lot of places, surfing is overcrowded. There is animosity towards other surfers. It's a territorial thing when you run out of space. But here, there's a lot of space. There's a lot of waves. And if you explore the coastline up here, you could find your own little waves and, you know, just be you and your friends for years.